The answer is take the win and run. I get hung up on certain things. I have OCD, Jake.
I mean, hi guys, my name's Jeff. I'm an equal opportunity lover, you guys know that.
But wouldn't the dog want to stay on the meat wagon?
You say you can convince the dog to hop off.
That's insane.
Yeah, I'm intelligent.
That's such a Jeff answer right there.
He's handsome, curly-haired, and Jewish, sitting right here.
Jeff, you are a golden retriever.
Hey Jake, that's what you kids call that drip, right?
It was good despite the gastric consequences, but call me the crystal ball here, man. I'm getting everything right except my own picks. That's really, to me, a battle of two of the coaches with the best hair.
Welcome to the E Show, presented by the Hockey Podcast Network. Founded in 2013, the EHL is your next step on the path to college. Over the past decade, the EHL has established itself as the college placement leader on the East Coast. And now, here's your host, the commissioner of the Eastern Hockey League, Neil Ravin.
Thanks, Jim. With that, let's bring in just Jake this week. Jeff is sick, but we do have to say congratulations.
He's got baby fever.
Yeah, soon to be girl dad, right? So
Yeah.
Congrats to Jeff for that. They made a big announcement over the weekend. I do have to say though, Jake, I know he's sick, and I can have sympathy for when I'm sick, but I know we're a lot older than you. But Michael Jordan, you know who he is,
Yeah.
right? And he had the infamous
Flu game.
flu game.
Yeah.
Like Jeff, have the flu pod.
Yeah,
Like-
no, I had 30 interviews at Newington last year with the worst sinus infection in the history of sinus infections. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, that was a flu showcase for me.
Yeah, so flu showcase. I mean, Jeff, I'm sorry, this is more LeBron than Michael Jordan of you.
Yeah, I'm not a LeBron guy.
Well, LeBron would sit out. Jordan
Mhm.
wouldn't. So,
Yeah.
but again, Jeff, we love you, and we hope that you rest up and feel better because he's got a baby moon trip coming up here, and you want to be healthy for that. I said that was the most important thing in my text to him last night. So he also can't make it down to Philly, where we're heading to tomorrow, Jake. So let's
Yeah.
start talking about the Philadelphia showcase and around the E Show.
Let's take a look at what's going on around the E Show.
So similar to last season, we are capping off the regular season with a marathon at the Iceworks skating complex. 58 games this year, and I'm sorry, we don't use Rink 2 at all. So you're gonna have to
We're
you're gonna
not using the Olympic this year?
Nope. We had like 3 or 4 games there last year.
Yeah, we did.
So you're gonna have to. I'm very curious what steps you get in this year to get over to Rink 1.
Yeah. You got to go past that pretty good snack bar, too. So that's going to add a couple extra steps each time.
I think at that snack bar last year, I got like soft serve ice cream one day.
Yeah, well, if you remember, we got there to the rink, and before I even said hi to you guys, I went and got a sandwich from there, and I walked in with like a Chipotle chicken club wrap. And you were like, "You already got food?"
Had you been to that rink before in your life? Okay.
No, I walked in the entrance that was right in front of the snack bar. It was like the gates of heaven.
You parked on the other side of the building. Yes.
Yeah,
yes,
I didn't
yes.
know. Yeah, I forgot. Yeah.
There's basically like 2 entrances. I don't know if they call them that though, east and west, or like north and
Yeah.
south.
I don't know.
But you are gonna recreate your picture, right?
With Captain Zach Spakuza.
Yes.
Yeah, I think so. We already talked about matching suits one day. It's gonna be pretty cool.
And he did just tie the all-time assist record, so he has to get one more, which minus 1,000 odds. That's probably happening.
And that's why I'm wearing this jersey today.
But what I couldn't figure out what number it is.
It's 38, which is RJ Sember's number right now.
Yeah. So how do you have his jersey?
It doesn't say Sember on the back.
Okay, I was gonna say, doesn't he need that?
I ripped it right off him.
Or are they just not gonna wear the whites? I guess you could say.
I don't know. I think this is just like an older jersey.
Fair enough. For the EHL, mostly everything is confirmed after what took place this past week. So from the perspective of, playoff seeding, there's a few different battles where maybe somebody could jump somebody else like Rhode Island and Nor'easter. They're already locked in to face each other. But if it's a perfect showcase for the Nor'easter and not perfect for Rhode Island, they could switch who has home ice. But for in terms of the teams making the playoffs, it's all decided on. So what do you think, if anything, the message is to the players to just enjoy the weekend and get right for the playoffs?
I mean, you got to go into the playoffs playing good hockey. So
True.
I think that's the bigger factor, and you're not seeing the guys in your division. So it's a nice reprieve from that. So I think you just kind of go in with a clear mind, enjoy the prospect of playing new faces and getting new experiences, because everybody gets to play their division and they're about to do it again for a minimum of a couple games. So yeah, I think it's just enjoy the fresh faces that you get to play against. If you're a team like the Express and the Eagles, they're really not so fresh faces. They saw each other yesterday. So that'll create some bad blood ahead of that playoff matchup, which is kind of cool in itself. But yeah, get some good hockey going into the playoffs. And if you're a team like the Nor'easter, I think you've won 8 of your last 10. You've kind of found your storm again. I
Yeah.
taught them they need to find their dinosaur, like in Step Brothers. They found their dinosaur.
Dinosaur.
Dinosaur! Oh my God!
I've never have done one of those before. That's more like your
Wow.
thing on the podcast, but
Dude, that
yes.
was good. That was good. I'm proud of you.
I haven't added the X symbols yet for the South Division, but it is done. And I know that technically Little Flyers can still catch up to Philly Hockey Club, but Philly Hockey Club won that tiebreaker. Trivia, guess how many points they won that tiebreaker by?
One.
One.
Yeah. You would have done the guess if it was some like sizable number. Playing psychology there.
Yeah, it's like a 50-50 shot, right? But up until the Huntsmen beat Applecore yesterday, there was still the chance for a three-way tie, which we talked about on the podcast with Jeff last week. I actually did all that math out. Did I tell you about this?
You
I don't.
told us that you didn't want this to happen.
Correct, because I didn't want it to happen on the fly because it would have made me nervous,
Yes.
right? But I did the math out in between podcasts, so I knew if it did happen. And the only way it would happen is if they all reached 45 points together, right? So for future dialogue, I guess you could say, if you have 3 teams tie, the tiebreaker is head-to-head points amongst the team, like those teams in the games against each other, right? Which was crazy because the Huntsmen won that tiebreaker because they had the most points in the games against the 2 other teams. But then Little Flyers had the second most points in those games. The issue for the Little Flyers, though, would have been because the Huntsmen win the tiebreaker, they get removed from it. Then you have to reset and do the tiebreaker just Philly Hockey Club and Little Flyers.
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah,
where it's 1 point.
Yeah.
It was like, I was like, whoa. Like every time I was doing the math, I was like, whoa, whoa, whoa. But then it just didn't work out. So, but again, I think off of what you said, you want to be playing good hockey, but at the same time, there's college coaches showing up, and this is for the teams that aren't making the playoffs. This is it. This is the last weekend of the season, so you're going to put on, no pun intended, a show.
Yeah. And I mean, if you look at the South Division as a whole, it is not set. I mean, the Bears are not out of striking distance for the 87s, not even close.
Mhm.
And the same goes for Huntsman and Philly Hockey Club. Like we could see home ice shift in this, like eventually, but we could see the matchup shifts. Like it may not be PHC Bears, it may not be 87's Huntsman, which Ryan Arendes wants. So you're Ryan Arendes, you want the 87s to stay in that 2 spot right now.
But if you're Jake Basile, what do you want?
What do I want?
Yes. And you are Jake Basile, by the way.
Peace on Earth. No, that's lame. Let's talk about hockey. I want I think I want exactly what it is right now. I want Bears PHC Huntsman 87s.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because that's kind of I think they're all rivals, but I think there's a little extra there, 87's Huntsman.
I think so too.
Because of the EHLP side of it as well.
Yeah, everybody's beating everybody too, so it's just such a toss up when we get to this time of year in that division.
Yeah, and this for the Huntsman is the first time they'll have made the EHL playoffs. They've only
Yeah.
been in the this is only their second year, right? But they
Yeah.
didn't make it last year.
Right. And they had
So
they were struggling at showcases last year, and they've kind of improved in that area this year. So they want to keep that 3 spot. They'll have to continue on the trend of this year, not last year.
for sure. And for the Bears, I mean, we've touched on this on numerous episodes. It just depends on what month it is with the Bears. You don't know what we're gonna get, right? But in terms of the Bears, formerly Protect Junior Ducks franchise, the history as the number 1 seed has not been good to you. So you got to change that history this year. And I know we have a playoff preview podcast coming where we'll do X factors and all that, but the 4 teams in the South are clinched. Jake is right. 1 and 2 may still switch. 3 and 4 may still switch. Interesting for 3 and 4, they have similar schedules. They both play the Bandits. They both play the Dukes. So they can't really argue one versus the other has the slight edge, I guess you could say.
They both have 21 wins. Like it's really close.
Who are they?
Oh man.
Working north from there, the Central Division already has a playoff schedule set. So for those that have their matchup, you can also do this now. You don't have to wait until the season ends. Rough Riders Capitals are playing the 18th, 20th, 24th if necessary. So those 2 teams are locked into 1-4. For the other 2 teams, I did say this, Nor'easter, if they stay hot, they can be the 2 seed. Is there value in that matchup versus who's home, who's away?
I don't know, to be honest. I think, I mean, is this going to be the 3rd year in a row that like Chiefs/Nor'easter plays HC Rhode Island?
Correct.
That I think matters more than anything. If you're HCRI, that's like living in your head right now. Like the Nor'easter are like they're a physical team, and I think that's a tough matchup for HCRI. And you see that when HCRI plays the Seahawks, which they just did, and it's a struggle for them. So I think I just worry about kind of adapting to that physical playoff style of hockey and getting the playoff demons exercised if you're HCRI.
For sure. Maybe the change in colors.
Yeah, or I mean, maybe they just weren't fans of Newington. Maybe they like it better
True.
at the RCC.
True. A little cleaner.
Yeah, but you know me. You know me. I like the grind.
Episode whatever that was. When you were like, I like to get stuck or whatever the hell you said.
I like to feel sticky when I leave bars.
In terms of the East Division, right? You mentioned this earlier. The 4 teams are clinched, and the matchups are clinched, right? Express Eagles, they just played. They're playing in the showcase. Yeah. What do you do in that game?
They were like talking about that yesterday. I was talking with Long Island's own Riley Van Son, and he was like, "What's the best like way for us to come out of this? Is it a split? Like, is it like that Wizards kind of thing where do you want to get the win out of the way now, or do you want to like hope the numbers game works and just save that win for the playoffs, save that like mentality?" So I don't know. It's tough, and like the bad blood is starting to brew a little bit. There was a lot of jawing last game, and you can just take a look at the PIMS column, and the Eagles are a bit of a chippy team. They're gritty birds, Yeah. But they still need to find their wings a bit. They're not the Eagles that they were. They were like four or 5 games above 500 back in December, and most of their wins came in the 2024 portion of the year. I still think they're capable, but this is a good opportunity for them. Are they playing the Jacks too, Neil?
Yes, that's opening night of the showcase.
Yeah, I think that's another team that has gotten the better of them in the last couple matchups. So a little revenge mission for BJE, I think this weekend.
For sure. For the Eagles too, is this a chance for Coach Moran to find out who is starting in game 1 of that playoff series?
I think it's Caden Pascalone.
Okay, you're already locked in on that.
Yeah, I mean, he's gotten all 4 games again. Oh, yes, all 4 games so far against the Express. To me, when you play that goaltender against one of the better teams in the league, that tells me what I need to know.
Yeah, you think it's Koenig for the Express?
I would say so. Yeah.
Okay. I just
I
Todd just
the
had the shutout, but
Yeah, what is the question is whether they just go Alex for game two, which
that's
is
a I honestly hadn't thought about that yet
yeah,
because I think for teams that have been able to split over the course of the season, we've also seen them, not to use this word early, pivot to just their starter in the playoffs, right? But I've also noticed over the years, if you have this a 1A, 1B situation, if you feel comfortable to give your backup guy a game,
yeah.
why not?
I think there's zero issues with comfortability when it comes to Lucas Toth. Oh, yeah, he's got five shutouts and 960. Like Lucas Toth is the real deal. The thing is though, last week they played what was it? It was Eagles Wolves back to back,
Yeah.
and Koenig played both.
Okay.
And to me, that was like, okay, maybe a little back to back conditioning here.
Well, best of threes are so short that like you win game one. I don't want to say you experiment game two, but you want to give Toth game two, which he just shut out the Eagles so he could fully win. But if you
Yeah.
were to somehow drop it, all of a sudden you're in game three, right? I mean, the Express, let's not forget, they were in game three with the Seahawks last year.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Like, and on paper, they were the better team. But once you get into game three, I just think like all bets are off.
And
Like,
they didn't play Koenig. They didn't play Koenig all three.
who do they play in the net for
Josh
those?
Gerard played game two in the overtime win for the Seahawks.
Got it. That's great knowledge right there.
Yeah, I'm full of it sometimes.
So it's listen. This is not our decision. This is Coach Coda's decision, but we will be interested to see what he does, right? Especially considering the other series, and we're going to get to this in the playoff preview, but that may be the most compelling series of all the first round matchups, right? Because the Wizards have been right there really with the Express all season long. But you can make the case that the Seahawks have never had a late season surge like this season right now. And they have to be the best version of a dark horse that we've had as a 3 seed entering the showcase final week of the season in the league's history.
Yeah, I agree with all of that. I believe in them very hard.
and listen, I think if Jeff was here, he would plug in his usual, we need to see one of the Seahawks teams in Providence, to which they respond, how about both? Right.
Mhm.
So, but the East Division is going to be awesome. And for the Seahawks, one of their showcase matchups this weekend is against the Avalanche, right? So
I'm
a top
excited for that.
a
I'm
top
really
dog in the North Division. I know both of you are locked into your spots, but I'm sure for Coach Zanaboni, that's a good test. Like where are you guys at
who
as
plays
a
in
team?
net? Who plays in net? Is it Isaac or is it
I,
Chapman?
what we've seen lately, it looks like Isaac.
I know Isaac has kind of taken the reins again. I mean, that's also like a huge thing. Like you have two goalies that there's a good, healthy internal competition there, and
Yeah.
they want and like for a while it was Chapman, and now it's the legend Isaac Saljugi again.
Yeah. And like look at like you want to talk about Express, who they may go game one, game two. What happens if you lose game one if you're a team with the Seahawks, right? And you start Isaac, then you go to Chapman to save your season. Like, I mean, these series are so short, right? I mean, it's something that we have to watch. North Division also locked in a pair of previous years rematches: Avalanche versus Warriors, Wolves versus Lumberjacks. I think what's cool for the Avalanche, they have two affiliate players going down to Philadelphia this weekend to get kind of a nice taste of the EHL, and Michael O'Brien and Patrick Cooley. And we've had some fun this week, Jake. They just keep sending us commitment after commitment, and they're already, well, you know how like the sports books have like the race to like first goal or 5 shots or whatever. You could like put the Avalanche in like race to 10 commitments, right? They're the first one to get to 10 each and every year. So a testament to what Coach Sorella has put together up there. But for this division where they're also already locked in? Is it just the same as you said? Just have a good weekend and cap off the regular season and find fastest so you're ready for the playoffs?
Yeah, 100%. I think it's important not to look far ahead. And like, there's obviously like every game is an opportunity to get better. And if you're, a team like the Valley Junior Warriors who haven't had the new year that you wanted, like, this is a good opportunity. Like they did last year, they ended on a higher note and they came in and they took game one from the New Hampshire Avalanche. Like, there's no reason why they can't do that again. Wolves, Lumberjacks have jockeyed all season between each other. The season series is pretty much split at 3 games apiece. So and for them, I mean, they got to take on the Wizards. Wizards are a team that came to Letty and beat them twice.
Yeah.
Like that's personal for the Lumberjacks. Like get that win to cap off your regular season. And the Wizards have lost 3 in a row all by 1 goal. So like they're feeling a little bit weird, I'm sure, right now.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. So that covers the EHL. We didn't get to talk about the EHLP as much last week, and I want to this week because starting in the North Division, of course, everybody makes the playoffs in the EHLP, right? But remember, the 4-5 have to play a play-in series to kind of punch their ticket into that round where there's 4 teams left in each division, right? So looking at the North Division first, obviously the Wolves and the Avalanche, I know they're at 52 and they're not tenally clinched quite yet, but they're 2, right? But then Adirondack and Valley, who avoids the play-in series?
Oh, I mean, strength of schedule favors the Warriors to potentially overtake them.
Okay.
When we're talking about strictly trending of the way the teams have played, you got to look at the way Adirondack has played as of late. I think they've won 8 of their last 10, something like that.
Scoring at will too.
Goal Davidson has been remarkable. And Valley has not entirely gone in the right direction in the new year. They've had some really good moments, but the thing that I look at most for Valley is that if they end up in that 4 seed, they went to Letty and got swept in the new year.
Yeah.
So I Valley to me, I really believe they're a championship caliber team when they put it all together because they play so structured. But I need to figure out goaltending and they need to figure out how to keep more pucks out because that's been, their Achilles heel in the new year.
Championship caliber team as a 4th place team in their division.
Yeah, well, that's the North, Susan.
Yeah. Usually that's baseball, but yes, I understand now. But we've said this in the podcast, right? I mean, take the Wolves out of it. That's the best 2nd place team, 3rd place team, 4th place team, 5th place team ever in hockey, right? I mean, that Vermont team is a really good team, that EHLP squad.
Yeah. Like Josh Bain, Caden Jacobs, Nathan Holland, like those are players that will like light it up.
Yes, for sure, for sure. But Jake mentioned Adirondack, so let's touch on their schedule first. They have 4 games of the showcase, and they enter with the 1-point lead, right? So you would think they do control their own destiny, but they face Union, Providence, Seahawks, and Huntsman.
Yes,
so
I'm so fired up for that schedule. That is such a thick schedule for Adirondack. If I was them, I'd be fired up.
Well, I mean, all 4 teams are playing for something.
Oh yeah. I mean, I'm Providence and Seahawks. Like those, I get to see them all the time. They're good. And there's a child behind you.
I know.
Okay.
He's excited for this segment. He's also excited for Adirondack's schedule.
He gets it, dude.
He gets it. Chasing those puck, I guess. For Valley, they face Bandits, Renegades, and Little Flyers. So obviously everyone gets him. He said that, right? But those guys may be more locked into their seeds per se than the guys that Adirondack is playing. Again, you can't take your foot off the gas by any means and try and, quote unquote, rest for the playoffs, but 2 very different schedules. Going to the East Division next, right? I mentioned the Seahawks. They enter the showcase in 1st place with 50 points and 39 games played, so they have 3 games left. Providence trails them by 3 points. They do have a game in hand. Can the Capitals catch them?
Yeah, I think they can. How much it matters, I don't know. The extra game is good, but like, it's gonna be down to the wire. And that last like Providence Express game was huge for Providence to kind of be in a little bit more control. The Seahawks do have Adirondack tough. They do have the 87s, obviously the best team in the South. So, for Providence, I don't know with guys obviously sharing time how that will impact things
True.
showcase, because we saw that kind of hurt the Premier team way back in October.
Yeah.
So that in itself will matter too.
We hadn't even talked about the balancing of the rosters, right? And try to figure out there's guys, especially for that Providence team, where you have to decide what playoff roster they're going to be on.
Yeah. Yeah. And as far as the Seahawks go, like I see those guys a lot, and they were saying that they don't necessarily want the Express in round one. They've had
Okay.
some regular season success against them. Express have picked off two. Um, but yeah, no, and the Express have played a gauntlet of a playoff type schedule lately. I think, I got to talk about the way James Joyce and Derek Lewis have played. They've been the best two players on that team, as they've played some of the best teams in the P lately. So, like, with the way they've been trending, getting that big win over Providence, there's definitely a little more confidence in that Express team.
For sure. For sure. Not to get sidetracked for a second, but I think you've made fun of me in the past for my daycare days, Monday,
Mhm.
Tuesday, Thursday. Are you seeing what's happening in my house right now? It's like
Yeah,
it's a zoo.
I feel like I belong there.
the, Jake's gonna come record the next podcast from the living room. But the
We should
dog
do
just
one of those. We
the
should do a
the,
Neil's living room podcast.
the dog just came in and chased his tail for a second and then left the room.
Dude, he's just a boy chasing tail. Why not, bro? Dude, aren't we all, bro?
Oh my God. Anyways, in the East Division, you mentioned the Express. They are almost locked in to 3. I mean, I know that the Nor'easter, if they swept the showcase, can catch them. It would also mean the Express would have to not collect a single point of the showcase. So they're pretty much locked into 3. I know we touched on this a little bit, from the South Division EHL perspective, but if you're that Express team, you just mentioned this. Do they want the Seahawks, or do they want Providence?
Man, I think when you just look at like depth of roster, like you'd probably rather take Providence. Now, they only have one win over Providence. It just came. Ben Ashton had to do Ben Ashton things, but they battled and they held on, and like they played some really good hockey. And I think both Coach Kyle and Coach Coda feel that that was their biggest win of the season. And, in the last handful of games, they've knocked off Valley. They've knocked off the Seahawks. And, they've done it in impressive fashion, right? Coming back from down 2-1 to the Seahawks, 2-0 to the Warriors, holding on to a 2. Like, they got scored on in that Providence game. Captain Coop scored right away after that. Like, those are the kind of like responses that you need. And that's like a playoff style. So, I look to that, and Nor'easter, like, unfortunately for them, they were in a really prime spot to actually like contend for the top of the division back in November, when we were talking about how many games in hand they had, because they were doing their AAA schedule too, which kind of allowed them to have a little advantage in terms of game count. And they didn't really win those games in hand. They've had a couple games where they've just given up simply too many goals. So I think for them, I do. I'd even be a little concerned about that playing round. I mean, Bridgewater has beaten them twice this season.
True.
Yeah.
They face Little Flyers, Huntsman, Union of the Showcase Express. Talk about showcase schedules. I don't know who did this. Wolves 87s and then Little Flyers. So the 2 best records in the league. So
Yeah.
Anyways, if you were in the living room, we could be talking about this across the house right now, Jake.
I know. I think I'd be on your lap.
It would be tough for Justin to separate the different audio files, though, because it's 2 different tracks, right?
That's true.
It'd be the same track. But I do want to pause for a second and provide our best, wishes and recovery for Brett Flanders. You were there. Scary injury against the Warriors over the weekend, where he got a skate blade to the wrist, but went into surgery, or he had just got stitches.
Got stitches. It didn't hit any tendons or anything. Got really lucky. He's hoping for a playoff return. And if we're talking about, the best players on that team, he's right up there with those other 2 that I mentioned. And
yeah,
I mean, no, it was definitely like a terrible moment in American history. But he's okay. And he came back to the rink, and like, I mean, he's okay, and that's really all that matters.
But shout out to the trainer. I'm blanking on his name right now.
Gordon.
Yeah, he was like right on it. I talked to Coach Coda afterwards. I was like, so obviously tough injury, probably season over. He goes, no.
Yeah.
Okay. He goes, he'll be back. I was like, oh, okay, man. Like,
Yeah, yeah. No, just stitches. Thank God. I mean, a lot of them, more than anybody wants.
yeah.
But no, he'll be back. And for Brett, I think he's definitely given Coop a run for his money as the best forward on that team as of late, especially. And
Mhm.
it's been a lot of fun to watch Brett do Brett things.
Wrap it up with the South Division that has 6 teams, right? So the top two get the quote unquote bye out of the playing round into the first round. So 3 plays 6, 4 plays 5, and that's where it gets kind of interesting, right? We've mentioned Union's name a few times right now. They have 39 games played. They enter with a 1 point lead over the Bears. The Bears, though, 1 game in hand. So one of them is going to get that bye and one won't. And you would think with how tight this South Division has been, I mean, this is kind of similar to our Yahoo Fantasy, right? You want the bye here. You want the bye if you're in the South Division.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think you just you'll take the rest, right? Like you're gonna
Yeah.
play 3 games in 3 days. You don't want to go back to work. But I mean, their schedules are so similar. The only difference they both play Nor'easter and Adirondack. The only
Yep.
different team they play is Union plays Providence and Adirondack plays the Avalanche. No,
Yeah.
excuse me. I'm sorry, Pennsylvania plays the Avalanche.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's no real difference in strength of schedule. It's just going to come down to who wins these games and who doesn't.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, I think you absolutely want to avoid the playing game. I like the way Union has trended each and every year, and this is obviously by far their most successful year. So good on them. They have a player from Long Island on their team. I have a feeling that's part of the equation. Why? I already wrote his name down to probably be interviewed at the showcase.
Can we acknowledge that you've covered Long Island more than I've covered Maine this season? Like, that's a fact.
Yeah, more people have heard of Long Island than people have heard of Maine. It matters a hell of a lot more.
I mean, Maine is a lot bigger, but whatever.
Yeah, but like if Maine and Long Island went to war, you guys would be in trouble, dude.
Look, it would take a long time for the guys in northern Maine to get down there. I mean, it's a long ways away.
What are they hiking?
While Union and the Bears battle for who's 2, who's 3, obviously for that bye, internally 4, 5, they're in the play-in round. They know that, but Huntsman and Renegades trying to figure out who has home ice for that series, right? So that will be very important to see. For those that are watching their calendar in front of them, all of the first round series for both EHL and EHLP can start on the 18th. That's a Tuesday, right? So the showcase ends on Monday, and then anyone that can avoid the play-in round in the EHLP, you have that week off. The play-in round is going to start right after the showcase. So the whole rest versus rust thing, we're going to keep talking about this, even though Jeff's not here, but will be very important for everyone that gets that week off, right? So we'll get more into the matchups for what we have at the showcase and what to watch for, but we do have to hit on fantasy first.
Now it's time for the eShow Fantasy Challenge. Follow along on the EHL app, available now for free on both Apple iOS and Android.
And we'll begin briefly with our Yahoo League, because I think, Jake, it's getting exciting for us because it may come down to the Basile brothers versus me for that final buy spot here. The way things are trending. So I need that buy.
Yeah, no, I've never been by, but I really would like to get, a locked in spot,
Well, I was the one that pushed for that rule change, right? So I need to take advantage of it. That's my point.
That's fair. That's fair. Yeah.
So, I mean, I was the one that was banging the table saying this is how we have to do it. So, but anyways, in terms of EHL fantasy, did you see who has taken over the top spot from?
I actually hadn't looked in the past 2 days. It's the longest I've gone without looking at this leaderboard. And
Daniel Kroon has taken over the top spot in large part thanks to himself.
Yeah.
Because he has 58 points. Nathan Alves 18. A question for us to think about in the future. When selecting a player for fantasy, do we have to declare EHL versus EHLP, or do you get points for any games that player plays in?
See, I think if they get called up, you should get it.
Okay. So
Yeah.
his defenseman
Yeah.
is Nate Alves, who's got points at both levels this month.
Yeah. Yeah. So he's been more of a P guy. I think his E point should count.
So all points count.
I don't know if you have selected for E and they play Premier, that I don't know.
True.
That's
And
where
and again, we have to cover goalie assists. I've seen a lot more of those lately.
really.
Yeah, so we don't count those right now.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
we may have to add that in next season. You can't add it in now because everyone's gonna say I'm cheating, and literally Ben Ashton doesn't have an assist, so I'm not cheating, right?
He does have 2 apples, just not this month.
Yeah, but I am right there, Jake.
Benny has a goal as an assist on an overtime winner too, which is kind of nasty.
Whoa, like did it hit him and then go up ice, or did he actually pass it?
Ashton saved Lewis Flanders.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. Doesn't count for me, but I like it.
Yeah, no. A good trio.
Are 2, 3, and 4 all friends of yourself or your brother?
Yeah. 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 Guess which one's not Jewish?
None.
No, the one without the Berg is not Jewish.
Oh, yes, yeah, okay, yeah, Nick in the middle. Yeah.
Nick, yeah.
Gerberg and Eisenberger, yes, so yes.
Dude, I saw Harris at the Isles Bees game the other day, and he was like, gave me the most New York greeting of all time. He was like, oh, when he saw me in the concourse.
It's funny, it's like the top half of the top 10, if you will, minus Daniel Kroon, is like all Basile friends. And then we have more players in the second half of the top 10.
I like to consider Colby Strunk a Basile friend too, though.
Imagine, you know how we highlighted our names here?
Yeah.
What if we highlighted like in green, friend of Jake?
We should highlight player names though too.
Yeah, I
Next year.
agree. I agree. But if you have like symbol for friend of Jake, there'd be a lot down there. You know what I mean? Like everyone have like an asterisk.
Yeah.
Just to go over some of the points that have been earned, we mentioned Daniel Kroon with 58, Devin Kelly with 47, kind of getting overshadowed there. Still a great month. Goal Davidson 66. Alex Lakoff, I think he has a point like in every game he's played in at this point. He has 68 points. Belly Parker 69 fantasy points. It's just the points that have been put up this month have been. It feels almost historic, right? We touched on Cam Plum before, 45. In terms of the goalies, Caden Clegg 43.8, Alex Koenig also 43.8. Ben Ashton, I'm pretty proud of that pick for myself because he's got me 51.4 so far. And that's why I'm only 9 points back, Jake. So I'm lingering right there.
Oh, dude, you're within striking distance. Absolutely. Yeah. And you don't want to get Jacob Gelman the Judah loose. You don't want to get that guy going right before playoffs. That dog can find bones for sure.
Nope. Brendan Nee has 44.2 points because so far he has 336 saves.
What a fall from grace, though. He was in first place in the first few days.
Yes.
Now he's down by me in the measly 20s.
Yes. Jeff just lives in the 30s or 40s. The top 5 loss that Jeff had ruined his season.
Yeah, a little bit of he's like the Caps post the cup win. Like they're just doing illicit substances in the bubble and not even caring about winning games.
Great comparison.
Thank you.
But with that, we'll jump.
I'm sure Jeff is doing something sketchy right now.
Sleeping. But with that, we'll jump to what to watch for.
And now here's what to watch for in the EHL and the EHLP.
All right, so starting on Friday, let's jump into the EHL. 7 games, nice appetizer in a way, right? Not like Saturday and Sunday, but just get your feet wet. I'm gonna read off the games, okay, Jake? Mm-hmm. And you just tell me which one jumps out at you.
Okay.
So 2 and 220. Capitals, Little Flyers, Apple Court, Rhode Island. 4 and 420. Philly Hockey Club and Dukes, Bandits and Huntsmen. 6 and 620. Bears Nor'easter, 87's Warriors, and then 820 Eagles Lumberjacks. What game right off the bat this jumps out at you?
Give me the solo job at 820 for EHL. Eagles Jacks. That's a revenge match for the Eagles. I need them to gain some confidence heading into some playoffs, so I'll go for them. And Jacks 6-game win streak too.
Yeah, I like it. I like it. Let's go EHLP now because they have 5 games themselves on Friday. There's only one block, if you will, or there's more than one P getting going on at a time. So 220, the Battle of the Thunders. That's the game. Union Junior Thunder versus Adirondack Junior Thunder, 220. 420, Capitals versus Renegades. 620, Warriors Bandits. And then 8 is Nor'easter versus Little Flyers. 820, Lumberjacks versus Bears. What jumps out at you?
I'm gonna go with 820 again. Vermont and New Jersey. I haven't seen the Bears pretty much like almost at all, and I really want to see them. And they have a good mix of younger and older guys. Vermont, a bit of a heavier team, so interesting to see how the South will match up against that.
For sure, for sure. Let's go to Saturday now. Now that we have the 12-game warm up on Friday, right? 7 EHL, 5 EHLP. Saturday we just have 19 games, 10 and 9, right? So get the Heelys going, right? So EHL games: Bears Rhode Island, Dukes Huntsmen, 87's Nor'easter, PHC Bandits, Warriors Eagles, Lumberjacks Rough Riders, Capitals Wizards, Seahawks Avalanche, Wolves Little Flyers, Express Apple Core.
Oh, dude. I don't know. Like 4 and 420 are just like the marquees for the day, I think. Wizards rematch of first showcase, 2-1 goal wins for the Providence over the Wizards in the season series. And Seahawks Avalanche, hottest team versus the best team. Let's do it.
Yeah. EHLP 9 games, so one off, if you will. Adirondack Capitals, Renegades Warriors, Lumberjacks Bandits, Huntsman Nor'easter, Avalanche 87s, Seahawks Adirondack again, Express Wolves, Bears Bandits, Capitals Union Thunder.
There's too much good hockey today.
That's gonna be your quote on Saturday. There's too much good hockey today.
Avs 87s, right? Do you agree with me?
That's a big one. That's
such a sick game. Yeah, I'll go with
that. For sure. Sunday, do we have the same 19 games? We got one off, 18, 9 each, right?
We can rest.
Isn't Sunday a day of rest?
I don't know. Never.
Warriors yes. Warriors Nor'easter, Lumberjacks Wizards, Dukes Apple Core, PHC Capitals, Bandits Avalanche, Express Eagles, Bears Wolves, Seahawks Rhode Island, Rough Riders, Little Flyers.
I think yours is yours PHC Caps?
Oh yeah. I mean, there's just a lot there. There's so many connections there. I mean, it's the last game for both guys of the regular season, so they'll both be clinched where they are, but they'll be like bragging rights for that game.
Absolutely. You know, it's going to be a fantastic game is Bears Wolves. Two Predators going at it, two 30-win teams as of right now going at it.
Yeah,
mean, what animal would you rather run into in a forest, a bear or a wolf, Neil?
Neither. So
that's not the question. Obviously, anyone's answer is going to be neither.
I actually have a funny bear story to tell you once we get through this part. Okay. So we go to Sunday.
I'll bear with you.
Sunday in the EHLP, Little Flyers Warriors, Huntsman Adirondack, Capitals Bears, 87s Lumberjacks, Union Nor'easter, Wolves Bandits, Avalanche Renegades, Express 87s, Seahawks, and the Bears again.
Give me Express 87s. I see those Express guys all the time. They're going to be battle tested coming out of this weekend. So that's a pretty big battle for them. And they'll need a point, right? We said they need a point. their last matchup does favor them on paper, but they very well could be pointless going into day two, having playing the Wolves on day one.
Yeah, yeah.
Possible.
So we get to Monday, and it's the lightest day of the four. 4 games for both EHL, Rough Riders, Wolves, Huntsmen, Seahawks, Express, Avalanche, Wizards, 87s.
I mean, those last 2 games are
Oh,
just
it's so good, man.
like how I don't know, man. I'm not gonna want to go home after that. Yeah, either one of the two. Obviously, Express Avalanche could have a battle for first place in the league. If you're a betting man,
Yep.
you probably don't see that coming, but you just never know. Wizards 87s, right? Like if you're gonna go into the playoffs, like you want to play a team like that for both those teams going right into it. So it just doesn't get better.
Yep. Wrap up the EHLP regular season with Little Flyers, Wolves, 87 Seahawks, Avalanche, Huntsmen, Express, Little Flyers.
Well, 87 Seahawks is going to be a pretty good game. That's like two heavier, older EHL Premier teams. They both play a structured game. And if you're the Seahawks, like I think you're chomping at the bit to play top teams from other divisions because you guys have beaten on each other so long in that East Division. And
Yep.
I think the North Division we talked about a lot, but the East Division has gotten a lot better, I think.
For sure.
It improved the most as this year went on and beaten teams from other divisions that are good. So yeah, I look at that game for sure. And I'm just super excited for the Seahawks, I think, down the stretch here. I think that's a championship caliber premier team. That's 2 of them right there.
For sure, for sure. So the funny story I have to tell you now, because you asked if I want to run into a bear or a wolf in the woods. A few years ago, prior to having kids, a few of us, we have some close couple friends. So there was like 3 couples that went on a hiking trip up to Sunday River, big ski mountain, right? Cool, this awesome Airbnb. Like it was massive. We have a fire going one night, and we could hear something in the woods. So we got the dogs inside, and we were like, all right, like let's go up on the deck in case like this is a bear or a wolf, and like not be like on its level, like
a dragon, maybe. You never know.
Yeah. So you're gonna make fun of me for a while for this one, but I don't care. It's fine. Like we eventually saw this figure leave the woods, but it was so dark out that we couldn't really see what it was. And when we went inside, myself and one of the other guys we were convinced that it was a honey badger, not a bear.
Okay.
But then we looked up that honey badgers are native to Africa. And we were in Maine. So it made no sense.
Dude, I hopped on a flight or something, maybe.
So the answer to your question is not a bear, not a wolf, but a honey badger. I'd like to run into one of those.
They're vicious. Dude, not even joking. They like mess up like cobras and stuff in Africa, like on the regular.
Okay, so none of the above then.
Yeah.
And then I saved the best for last, Jake. I went to the dentist yesterday.
Oh my God. You went all the way to Maine?
Yeah, I did.
Wow. Did you get a clean bill of dental health?
I did.
Okay.
Never had a cavity.
Okay.
Yeah.
Also, halftime king of pizza, mid.
Okay.
Mid is all heck, dude.
I let you down. It's not the pizza. It's the atmosphere.
I asked, like, is it legit? And you wrote back, it's legit.
The atmosphere.
The atmosphere was sick. The place was sick. Whoever was on Aux, like, did a nasty job. But, like, the Za dude, like, me and Dealey gave, like, a 6-8 at best.
And I'm sure you threw me right under the bus.
Yeah. Well, I throw you on. I was like, this is the commissioner's recommendation from the start. He was like, we gotta go.
That's under the bus then.
But from the start, before we even took a bite, before we even got in the car.
Fair. Was he more disappointed than you were? Like, do I have to address this with him?
You're gonna have to address this with him. Yeah. Been living in our minds.
It's amazing. Well, for those that can't make it down to Iceworks to experience the snack bar that Jake already experienced, right? All the games will be on Flow Hockey, as always. But if you can make it down, I mean, you just heard us read off all the games. Like, it's going to be an awesome weekend of hockey. It's always a great way for us to end the regular season and really set the table for the playoffs. And as we mentioned, Jake's taking his own car. We didn't mention that. It was a different Zoom. Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry. I got my Zoom.
Why do I have to take my own car, Neil?
Yeah, you got to go to the grocery store. You got to get your milk. But I have a surprise coming for you.
Really?
Yes, I told you this.
Is it milk?
No, it's not milk, because milk would go bad in the 6-hour ride down there. So, there is a fun surprise going to Philly.
Okay.
So we'll see everyone in Philly, and we'll talk to all of you on the podcast next week for our first playoff preview.
Miss you, Jeff.
Thanks for listening to The E Show, presented by the Hockey Podcast Network. Learn more about us at easternhockeyleague.org and follow us on all of your favorite social media platforms. Also, be sure to subscribe and get notified when our next podcast episode is released.